This portion of the news brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Police officers have shot and killed a number of suspects in the past few weeks after police say they would have drawn weapons on them in confrontation.
Commissioner of Police Allison Greenslade is speaking on the issue that has drawn public outcry from some family members. Cleopatra Murphy tonight tells us that Greenslade says he fully supports his team.
Commissioner of Police Allison Greenslade says he will never interfere with the police officers' lawful discretion to defend themselves when in the line of fire. His comments come after a number of police-involved shootings in the last few weeks in which 5 suspects have been killed.
If an officer who is properly trained and armed is accosted by a felon with an illegal weapon, more specifically an illegal gun, I expect that that officer will do all in his or her power to defend himself or herself, and certainly to protect the lives of any innocent persons who could fall victim to a bullet from an illegal handgun.
In the course of the past few weeks, there have been 7 police-involved shooting incidents. In more than one of those incidents, families have complained that police acted inappropriately and killed men who the family members say the victims were unarmed. The police commissioner says all police-involved shootings are investigated by Her Majesty's coroner, and he has confidence in that process.
I'm very, very pleased to tell you that I police in a society where there is that marked measure of independence, and the country can be assured that the police department is not investigating itself.
Greenslade says officers have had problems with his position, but he believes to maintain public trust, law enforcement must be subjected to independent oversight.
This commissioner has never ever sidestepped on any matter involving actions of police officers and members of the police service where there was a need for swift and decisive action. Just on Friday, I severed ties with a young officer who I deemed was inefficient in his performance and had lost the public's trust and confidence and can no longer wear the uniform of the police service.
Despite his belief in transparency, Greenslade says he stands behind police officers who he says are hardworking and do their best to keep the community safe.
My guidance is simple, that they should remain professional but firm in the discharge of their duties.
Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.
Assistant Commissioner of Police Stephen Dean is issuing a stern warning to criminals to turn in their illegal weapons or face the consequences. Police have recovered in excess of 200 illegal firearms off the streets of New Providence this year, and Dean says officers will continue to more aggressively to recover more of these dangerous weapons. He says the proliferation of firearms in the country is a major concern to officers because they are used to commit many of the major offenses in the country. He urged anyone, especially parents and girlfriends of would-be criminals, to tell police if they see something suspicious.
It's no use coming to us crying when they have gotten killed. It's no use crying when they get arrested, because if we go to a home and we find a firearm in that house, everybody will be arrested. Everybody will be arrested. So we are warning you to look at your homes, look at this firearm. A young men who are possessing firearm is only 2 things going to happen. You will end up killing somebody, or someone will kill you, or you will end up going to prison for possession of unlicensed firearm.
Dean tonight is also issuing a clarion call and warning members of the public not to leave valuable items visible in their vehicles after a recent spurt of car break-ins and thefts across the island of New Providence. Dean said that just last week, 8 break-ins were reported in the northeastern division along Wolf Road, 9 break-ins in the western area comprising of Cable Beach and further up, and in the eastern area encompassing Fox Hill and eastern New Providence. 17 cars were broken into.
That is a concern to us. And when it becomes a concern to us, we have to put all our resources, and that's why we are coming with the educational arm. We have to sensitize our people, that our people must be aware that they cannot be leaving items and valuables in their vehicle. Despite clarion call, the education, this still is happening. People are still leaving laptops in their vehicle. They're still leaving cameras. They're still leaving cash. They're still leaving jewelry. And our ladies are still putting the handbag under the back seat of the car.
Dean also noted that people must be aware of areas that they park their cars in and not to tarry when arriving home at night. He says these are invitations for thieves who will take advantage of the opportunity. Dean says last week 13 vehicles were stolen in the southwestern New Providence area between South Beach and Carmichael Road. He urged members of the public to take precautions to secure their property.
Predominantly these vehicles are stolen at nighttime, parked in the front of people's homes, no light in the front of the house, we have observed, no security mechanism. We are asking people, times has changed, you need to put switches on you could lock your tires, you can lock the wheel, you can put alarm systems on, you could put security device that you can monitor a vehicle that if it's stolen, that they could put a kill switch on, a number of things that can happen. So we are putting this call out to person to assist us, because the prevention starts with you.
With all students officially returning to the classroom this week, officer in charge of the Police Traffic Department, Superintendent Craig Stubbs, is advising road users to practice caution while traveling along busy roadways. Stubbs says the highest volume of traffic has been along the Eastern Road, Sir Milo Butler Highway, the Gladstone Road Corridor, and Tonic Williams Darling Highway. He urges parents to practice courtesy while taking students to school by pulling to the side of the road to allow students out of the car and not to block the pedestrian crossings.
So we are asking all the motoring public to be more alert, especially to the pedestrians, especially those first graders, second graders who are now being assisted to school by their older siblings. We ask you to be extra careful, and especially in the school zones, obey that 5 miles per hour speed limit within those school zones. If we be more courteous as drivers, we will have an issue with the morning commute. We find between 7:15 and 8:15 is when you see that large volume. So we ask you to be courteous. If you want to stop, allow somebody to exit a side corner, do it with care.
This portion of the news was brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
This is your Royal Fidelity Business News. I'm Cleopatra Murphy. The Association of International Banks and Trust Companies in the Bahamas announced that both the Minister of Financial Services, the Honorable Hope Strawn, and the Minister of State for Finance, the Honorable Michael Halkitis, will deliver remarks at the 10th anniversary edition of the Nassau Conference, the leading professional development gathering of the international financial services sector. Minister Strawn will deliver opening remarks on Wednesday, September 23rd, under the theme Strengthening Our Competitiveness, Securing Opportunities for the Next Decade. Later in the day, Minister of State Halkitis will address delegates on the topic, The Time is Now. The full-day event, being held again this year at the British Colonial Hilton, underscores AIBT's continuing commitment as founding partner to the development and growth of the international financial services sector. Executive Vice Chairman and Executive Director of Junior Achievement Bahamas, Philip Simon, issuing his back-to-school message by noting that Junior Achievement Bahamas is well prepared to provide the fundamental training of work readiness, financial literacy, and entrepreneurship for 20,000 young Bahamians this academic year. He says officials believe these principles will truly mold our nation's economic and social development and positively impact the lives of thousands each year as they exemplify this year's theme, Youth Innovation Leading the Way. And in international business news, when Pope Francis makes his first visit to the United States this month, he will face a Catholic Church whose finances are staggering under a shrinking membership and huge payouts to sex abuse victims, threatening to undermine its social influence, with the church still absorbing the roughly $3 billion cost of a clergy sex abuse scandal, another financial crisis looming, a potentially crippling shortfall in funding the pensions of its aging priests. That was your Royal Fidelity Business News. I'm Cleopatra Murphy.
Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employees Confederation is making a move to boost the economy. Today, they launched the Small Business Help Desk with hopes of targeting more small and medium-sized enterprises while building on what currently exists. Here's Carla Palmer.
With the launch of the Small Business Help Desk by executives of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employees Confederation, officials are looking to grow the number of small and medium-sized businesses here in the Bahamas from its reported 16,000, keeping in mind that SMEs are considered the engine that reportedly drives the economy.
This SME Help Desk is expected to assist micro, medium, and small businesses throughout the Bahamas with a variety of business advisory services ranging from a comprehensive assessment of businesses, financial planning and management, business plan writing, human resources development, preparation for credit funding, marketing services, registered offices, facilities, and a host of other professional services.
By establishing the Small Business Help Desk, Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber, Edison Sumner, is also hoping to decrease the level of unemployment in the country and ensure that new businesses do not fail, as a reported 50% of them do within the first year.
How is this help desk intended to work? People wishing to access the services of the help desk will be required to submit an application, which will be initially assessed by the administrator. She will determine the level of attention needed for that applicant and assign the portfolio to one or more of the SME advisors for their further support. The advisor will be required to treat that portfolio and all other portfolios referred to them by the Chamber with priority and give the requisite time and resources needed for that business to receive the support that they need. This facility will be both for startup businesses as well as established businesses looking for further support.
BCCEC executives are supported in their venture by the International Labour Organization, ILO, and the government. Both Ann Knowles of the ILO and Minister of State for Finance, the Honorable Michael Alcides, are endorsing the Small Business Desk.
The International Labour Organization, despite its name focusing on labour, it also has very much the interest of employers, because without employers there are going to be no jobs, and the whole focus of the ILO is ensuring that there are more and better jobs for everyone.
We look forward to a continued fruitful partnership with benefits accruing to the small business sector, ultimately to the economy of the Bahamas, and ultimately to the growth of the economy and the improvement of living standards for us all.
BCCEC officials say the program is not Nassau-centric and is extended to residents of the Family Islands. Carla Palmer, ZNS Network News.
The Bahamian government tonight sending congratulatory remarks to the newly elected Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Dr. Keith Rowley and the People's National Movement won elections yesterday, taking the helm from the People's Partnership, which now forms the opposition. Outgoing Prime Minister Kamla Prasad-Bissassar conceded at around midnight, saying the people's wishes must be respected as the people had chosen. Following his victory, Dr. Keith Rowley says he intends to be a Prime Minister for the entire country. He says he will make every effort to rekindle the feeling of nationalism in Trinidad and Tobago. The party won on a 23-18 victory in the polls. And congratulating the new government, Foreign Affairs Minister, the Honorable Fred Mitchell, said the Bahamas looks forward to continued cooperation with Trinidad and Tobago in working on matters of mutual interest.
What does a travel agency and beauty industry have in common? Well, they're the passion of one Abaca woman who have turned them into profit. In tonight's BTC Island Connection, how she stays connected with patrons.
From this office in downtown Abaco, Alita Bain communicates with the world. She runs Diamond Travel Agency in Marsh Harbor, but she's envisioning a much bigger market.
My goal would be to go international fully, but right now it's mostly local for now.
And BTC is and always has been a big part of her strategy.
Well, BTC assists me because the system that I'm on is called Amadeus, and it requires a high-speed internet, and BTC has supplied that for me. And that's how BTC helped me. And also with my telephone, my postpaid telephone, or I have a lot of customers calling me on my cell, so it doesn't go off and say, well, you don't have any minutes, or the billing is good. And yeah, so they basically help me all around.
Bain isn't restricted to the travel business, though.
Now, the reason why the premium now is the top seller is because it's more softer, it takes curls well, and that's just the brand that the hairdressers require them to get.
Next door, she runs A&G Beauty Supplies. And she says the service here is just as sure as the Friday rush for a beauty fix, unlike a previous service provider.
But I think like a month after, I canceled everything with those guys. Then I went BTC. And I've had them ever since. If you have a problem, they're there to help you. And because internet for hair in the hair store and the travel agent, they've just been very helpful with the internet service and the telephone service.
She's on Facebook and Instagram too, and insists that BTC is her connection to the world and her best friend in business. Kishla Adderley for the BTC Island Connection.